What's up, everybody? Isaac here with Civil Engineering Academy, and today we're going to talk about how to prepare for the Civil PE exam and all the things that you really need to know and understand as you're getting prepared to take this monumental exam in your life. And so I want to give you some tips and pointers regarding how to properly prepare for this, discovering why you want to take this exam and how it's going to benefit you in your life. But we're going to give you some pointers along the way that's going to help you really get a step ahead as you prepare for this exam, because it is a doozy, and I want to make sure that you are properly prepared as you prepare for this exam and go in full force with all the tools that you have at your disposal to ace this thing the first time. So all of this is going to be coming up right up after this. Thanks for being here. See you in a minute. All right, let's get right to it. So as you're starting to prepare for the Civil PE exam and you're wondering about this whole thing, the first thing that I would ask you, and that you may want to rely on as you go through this journey, is that you really need to understand the why behind why you're doing this. Is it because you want more prestige at work, more recognition? You'll be able to stamp drawings and such. That comes with this. Do you want additional money? Because as you earn your PE, you will obviously earn more. Your earning potential goes way up. It might not be immediate, but it definitely over the long run of your career is going to help you earn more money for sure. And then the third thing is just personal achievement. This is a major milestone in your life. You have a major goal to do this. And by achieving this massive hurdle in your life, you can definitely do difficult things. That falls right in line with graduating from college and all of those other fun things. So discovering your why is very important. Why do you want to do this? Rely on that as you slug through the process of studying and even through the process of maybe even failing the exam, because many people do fail this exam and it takes them a few times to do it. So I just wanted to start with that. That is tip number one. Make sure you understand your why as you start this journey, because it's going to help motivate you as you move forward in it. All right, let's talk about tip number two as we're starting to prepare for the PE exam, and that is completely understanding the entire exam experience. And to understand that, it would be helpful if you go check out the NCES website, that's ncees.org, and completely understanding what you are getting into, what the exam experience is like, where you're going to be taking the exam, what the testing centers are like. It's gone from open book to closed book exam and a computer-based exam now. Understanding what the testing center is like now. It's very individualized. You're not in a conference room anymore with 1,000 people, millions of people there, and you can't bring in suitcases full of books anymore, right? This is a closed book exam except for the resources that they give you, which is their own handbook in addition to the standards and codes that apply to your individual depth section of choice. So understand the process. This is still an 8-hour exam. You're going to have a break in the middle. The exam still breaks up those questions into like AM type questions and PM type questions. And so after so many questions, typically around 35 to 40, you'll be asked to take a break in the middle, a lunch break. I definitely highly recommend taking that. And then you get to polish up the rest of the exam in the afternoon. But some pro tips here is that if you are taking that exam, once you take that lunch break, you have to submit those first set of problems in. You cannot go back and edit those. You can't go back and change any of them and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. Know that once you submit them, that's it. But get your head around understanding the total exam experience. Go to the NCES website, register for an account, know how much money it takes to register for the exam, know where you're going to be taking it, know what you can and can't bring into the exam with you. And once you nail all that down, then you can move on and start moving into other areas. But you got to understand that as you prepare for the PE exam, knowing what you're getting into with the new exam experience. All right, I want to talk about tip number three, and that is when you should be taking the exam. Typically, the exams were only offered in April and October. Well, now the exam has switched. It's now year-round. You can take it up to 3 times in a year, once per quarter, and it's just you got a lot of options at your desk here or at your fingertips not your desk. At your fingertips, you have a lot of options of when you want to take this exam. So if you're thinking about it though, I think the best time to take this exam is, for me personally, I would still want to take it around April as they used to, because everyone has a New Year's goal typically around January, and that gives you plenty of time to prepare for the PE exam. If you start in January and you're shooting for an April exam date, I think that's ideal and still a great time to do it. The other thing you want to think about is maybe this, is if you register for an exam that's at the end of one of the quarters. If you register for an exam then, and let's say you happen to fail the exam, you could turn right around and quickly register for another exam that falls into the next quarter. So just maybe that's a pro tip for you, but maybe register for the exam at the end of a quarter in case you do fail. You can quickly take it again in the next quarter without having to wait more and more time to retake it again. Although maybe you want additional time as you prepare again for it. That's another case to be said, but I know a lot of people like the idea that they could retake it again as soon as they wanted to. And so if you schedule that at the end of one quarter, you could jump into the next one and not have to wait too long to take it again if you wanted to. All right, my fourth tip talks about which exam that you should actually take. Many people come to me through Civil Engineering Academy or through email, and they always ask which exam is the hardest, which one is the easiest. And we've done a video on this already, but if you just look at the exam pass rates alone, you will see that historically, the Water Resources exam is typically the highest pass rate. Now, I'm not going to say that any of these are really easy exams, but if you're looking at pass rates alone, the Water Resources exam is going to be the exam that has the highest rate of passing. So, if you're just looking for an exam that might give you the best chance of passing, that's going to be it. And it's typically followed by transportation. Usually those two are right up there. They're all very difficult, so I'm not trying to water down any of these, pun intended, but you get the idea. Like, all of these are difficult exams. My advice to you is, if you're wondering which exam that you need to take for your depth section, look at what you do at work. Obviously, you want to look there first. Are you working in construction? You're going to take construction. If you're dealing with structures, you're going to do structures. If you have some sort of mix, you're not sure where you want to go, maybe then you look at the Water Resources exam. But look at what's going to help you at work and accelerate your career development. And I would go with that, because your head's going to be in the books for quite some time. And you want to make sure, by doing that, you might as well use that knowledge to help you at work. So look at what's going to help you at work. My second tip with that is, if you just can't find anything that goes along with that, is to look back at what you did well in school. For me, I did well in Water Resources, and I could have done that, but I chose something that worked well with my work. But if you look back at what you scored really well in school, you might as well do that, because your head's going to be in a book so long. It makes no sense to choose something you're going to have struggle with and difficulty with. Choose something that's going to be easy for you, that you did well with in school, because as you study, these concepts will come back to you and you'll be really prepared for it. So that is another tip to help you decide which depth exam you should be taking. All right, let's talk about another tip to help you prepare for the PE exam, and that is the new PE handbook. This thing gets updated often, frequently. Make sure you are downloading a free copy of the new handbook, and make sure you are using that as you're solving problems all the time. Have that open as a PDF on your computer. You can get a free copy of it by heading to the NCES website. So make sure you grab a copy as you register for an account there. They're really easy to find, and you definitely need to use them. So have those things open. Understand how the search function works, because some people get tripped up in the actual exam having to search for something. Sometimes it's not pulling it up. So it's one of those things where less is more. If you search for less of a word, it's probably going to pull up more results for you. But know the nuances of that handbook. Understand what's in there. Understand the equations that are there. Understand the graphs that are there. Because typically they will form that exam around that handbook experience. So, and the handbook gets updated all the time. If people are wondering, they're always wondering about the Civil Engineering Reference Manual, which is provided by PPI. And if you want that, I still think that's a valuable resource. You can get that at civilengineeringacademy.com/PPI and go get a copy of that because it's going to help you actually learn concepts. But you'll see a lot of the equations in that handbook that are not in the PE reference handbook supplied by NCEES. So it brings up a lot of confusion about what's going to be on the exam or not. And I'm going to lean towards what's on the handbook versus what's in the SERM 100% of the time. It's not to say that they can't ask anything outside of what's on that in the handbook, but they are generally going to lean into what they're supplying you and providing you, right? So the handbook in your codes and standards are where the problems are going to be pulled out of. So just keep that in mind. Understand that handbook inside and out. Use it for all your problems. It's not going to teach you concepts, but you do need to be familiar with what's in there, where to find it, and what's at your disposal so you're not left hanging come exam time trying to figure that out and scrambling for it. So definitely get the handbook and get going on that. All right, tied to this is our next tip, and that is understanding what resources and courses that are out there and available to you. I still highly recommend taking a review course, and maybe we can hit that on first. We obviously have one at Civil Engineering Academy that we love. We get tons of people going through it and getting great reviews on it, and we are always polishing that up to meet the latest spec and the latest standards. You can find that at civilpereviewcourse.com. And that is the ultimate civil pereviewcourse.com as well. It's an awesome course, lots of lectures that follow the CBT, which includes references out of the handbook. We've got lots of video practice problems, exams that are going to test you. We're also working on a CBT exam as well, so you can get that full experience. And we were ranked #1 by Test Prep Insights, so go check that out as well. So we love that, but obviously any course is going to help. You can find them at PPI using our link again. You can find them at School PE. We'll link that as well. But any course is better than no course, and it's going to help you because it provides accountability, provides you with problems, provides you with support. And those things are what you need if you've been out of school forever and you need the motivation to do it. You might think it's really expensive to do that, but in the long run, it's a very small amount that's going to help you. And oftentimes your workplace will reimburse you for the expense of that course. So just make sure you take advantage of that. So if you need something like that, check us out. Go to civilengineeringacademy.com. You can find it there, or you can find it in the links that I talked about earlier. Go check out a course we provided. We love it. We think you'll love it too. The other thing is resources. So what resources should you get to help you on this journey? Obviously, you're going to need practice exams and problems. I'm going to go into detail about practice exams in our next step, but you're going to need practice exams, and I'm going to recommend that we also have those on civilengineeringacademy.com, but don't be afraid to get more because you just need problems. You need to be exposed to problems. So definitely get that. I still think PPI has great resources. School of PE does as well, but you got to get practice problems under your belt. I'm definitely going to recommend the SERM still because it's going to help you learn concepts if you've forgotten them. They also have a great book associated with that's going to help you practice problems. And so definitely check those out. And then if you just go to Amazon, you'll find a bunch of them. We have a bunch that we've listed at civilengineeringacademy.com. Go to the resources, look up breadth or depth, and we list books that people have recommended there as well. There's a ton of them out there, so go check them out. But the whole point is that you need to get practice problems under your belt. And so by purchasing those practice exams, you should be consistently working problems. And like I said earlier, I do still think the SERM is a valid source for helping you on this journey because it's going to help you learn the concepts where the handbook is just a regurgitation of equations. So I still think that's good. School of PE also has a great book that's out that will help you on your journey as well, that they've released, and they will slowly release, I think, some depth manuals as well that are coming as well. So that kind of encapsulates getting resources. I still think all of those are important, but you got to get resources. Even if you're taking a course, it's helpful to get some additional resources because you can always be practicing problems. And that leads to our next step, talking about practice exams. All right, so next step here is talking about practice exams. So if you've purchased all these resources, you got all this stuff at your disposal, you need to take practice exams like the real exam in a real testing environment. What I mean by that is you need to set aside time to help you ace this exam. You need to set aside time to really test yourself, put the pressure on yourself to take an exam in a real testing environment. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to square off 8 hours and take out full exam in 8 hours. Your day's gone, right? But you could see if you can get 20 questions done in 2 hours. Or if you have a 4-hour chunk, see if you can get 40 questions done. Test yourself on 40 questions in 4 hours and see how you do. And just break up the exam like that. But get your handbook out, get your standards that are out. Now, the standards will be given to you in a PDF copy that's searchable, like the handbook. But in your case, you're going to have to go purchase these standards that you're going to use and have those on your desk ready to go. Unless you can get a PDF copy, then good for you, which are out there too. But most people beg, borrow, whatever you need to do to get those standards at your desk. So you're going to have all those resources open, and you're going to time yourself and put the pressure on to see how well you do. Now, I recommend that you're going to take at least one breadth exam and one depth exam that is like a testing environment, so you can put that pressure on. But even after you do that, work those problems that you missed as if they were homework problems to really cement in the concepts that you've forgotten about or steps that you missed along that journey. So that's my tip for practice exams. Make sure you're either working them like homework, but definitely you got to take one of each in a real testing environment to really give yourself an edge as you go and take the exam. All right, my last tip for you to help you prepare for the PE exam, wow, that was a mouthful, is test taking tips. So when you're in there and the pressure's on and you're freaking out and the anxiety's high, how are you going to go through this exam? Because this is a CBT exam now, you're going to actually take this the same way as if it was a paper-based exam. And what I mean by that is that you're going to take the problems as they are given to you. And if you run up against a problem that you see as difficult or that is going to take more time than you think is possible or that is reasonable, you're going to flag it. They give you an option to flag the problem and then just simply come back to it. So you want to get through the majority of the questions as fast as you can and then come back to those more difficult problems that are going to take longer to solve. Don't beat yourself up over this, but a big strategy with taking this exam is time management. And people don't get that, and that's why I encourage you to test yourself in a testing environment. But time is not on your side here. And some people have anxieties when they're got a time test going on, and your mind's going crazy, and you end up just guessing on a bunch of problems where you could have had those in the bag. So I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to make that mistake. Understand that time management is key on this exam. So run through the exam, and as you get problems that are difficult, just skip them, flag them to come back to them, and work those later after you've gone through the exam. You know what your strengths are. You know what your weaknesses are. So focus on your strengths. Get this thing. You want to get as many questions done as possible in the time that you have, and then go back and hit those hard ones later. So that is definitely a test-taking strategy for you. Another one is obviously to take the breaks when they give them to you. So if you have that lunch break, definitely take that. You want to give yourself a snack, get yourself re-energized. Don't just power through this thing. You don't want to do that. Give yourself some time, give yourself a break. And in addition to that rest during the exam, make sure you're getting plenty of rest before the exam. Try to get a good night's sleep the night before the exam. Eat healthy, eat well. You don't want to go into the exam and you're falling asleep because you ate like crap or something like that. So don't do that. Give yourself plenty of rest, plenty of time to tackle this exam, and it'll be well worth it. Another tip I have to go along with this is a lot of people ask, what should I do the last week before the exam? And honestly, there is no amount of preparation at that point that's going to push you over the edge. Either you know the stuff or you don't. So that last week, you want to brush up on concepts, but you definitely don't need to study the day before the exam. Give your mind a break. Give yourself some time to recharge your batteries, because you will inevitably be low on energy, and especially mental aptitude. Your brain will be fried, is what I'm trying to say here, before the exam, and it will be fried the day of the exam as well. So make sure you give yourself plenty of rest. There's no amount of preparation that you're going to do that day before, even the 2 days before, that's really going to push the needle for you. But give yourself plenty of time to tackle this. Now, my recommendation for total prep time on this is going to be 3 to 4 months on this. Obviously, the longer the runway you have, the better chances you have to pass. I don't recommend taking the exam if you're under 3 months before your exam. I would, pay the fee and kick it down the road a little bit, because you need time to really go through this material. And that's my recommendation for that. All right, that's what I have for you. I hope these tips help you on your journey to pass the PE exam. It definitely is a doozy, but it's definitely doable, and I'm here to cheer you on every step of the way. Like I said, if you need additional support, you can join our free community we've set up through Civil Engineering Academy at ceacommunity.com. You can join a bunch of like-minded individuals in that group and community to post questions or whatever else you need. If you need further help, definitely consider our courses at civilpereviewcourse.com, or you can find them at Civil Engineering Academy. And if you just need exams, head over to our website as well. We've got great practice exams that can help you as well. So we also have a podcast too. Check that out if you're interested. Civil Engineering Academy podcast. You can find it on all the podcatchers. And if you want more tips and tricks, also join our newsletter. I give away all the secrets and all the good stuff. Go to ceanewsletter.com as well. So lots of resources for you. We'll make sure we link it all below. Let me know what you think of these tips. If you would add any more to them, we love to hear about them, and we love to share them. So leave a comment about that as well. Anyway, thanks for being here. Excited for you. Can't wait to help you on your journey to pass this exam. And I'm excited. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye.